I stood at the edge of the driveway I'd poured 2 months earlier. The concrete was smooth, graded at exactly a 2% slope. Late afternoon light angled through the old oak trees, throwing jagged shadows across the surface. Everything was exactly as it should be, until my eyes stopped at the 3 orange plastic barriers stretched across the entrance. No notice. No warning signs. Just 3 cones were placed in a line, blocking access to my own home, behind the barriers. A man in a navy blue polo with an embroidered HOA board logo stood writing something on a clipboard. Next to him, a blonde woman held her phone up, camera pointed directly at me. If you're watching this unfold, drop a comment below and let me know where you're from. I didn't move. My breathing stayed even, hands loose at my sides, an old reflex I'd learned years ago. My eyes tracked the details. Clipboard, camera. The woman's posture angled slightly away, as if already framing her next shot. This wasn't random. I stepped out of the truck, keeping my movements deliberate. The woman with the phone tracked me as I approached. Her camera stayed level, recording every step. The man with the clipboard looked up, straightened his shoulders. He had the posture of someone preparing to deliver rehearsed lines. "Mr. Morris," the woman said. Her voice carried that practiced tone people use when they think they're being recorded for the right reasons. "I'm Mira Cadell, HOA president. This is Harper Dalka, our secretary. We need to inform you that this driveway violates our community covenants. You'll need to stop using it immediately." I stopped 3 feet from the barriers, close enough to see the details, far enough to stay out of reach. "What violation?" Mira pulled a folded paper from her pocket, held it out without stepping closer. I took it. Standard printer paper. A paragraph printed from what looked like a website template. No letterhead, no official seal, no signature. Just text claiming my driveway encroached on common area drainage systems and violated architectural guidelines. "This isn't a legal document," I said. "It references Section 4 of our CC&Rs, Harper said, still filming. "All homeowners agreed to these terms. I'd read those covenants when my grandfather left me this house. Read them twice. The original document from 1985 had no restrictions on private driveways within property boundaries. I'll need to see the original covenants, not a printout." Mira's jaw tightened, just slightly. "We'll provide that through proper channels, but these barriers stay until you demonstrate compliance." "These barriers are on my property," I said. "You're blocking legal access to my home." "We're protecting community interests," Mira said. Harper shifted the phone angle, capturing my face more directly. I pulled my phone from my pocket, dialed the non-emergency line, kept my voice level. "I need an officer at 2215 Oakmont Drive. Someone has placed barriers blocking my driveway without authorization." I gave them my name, said I'd wait. Mira's expression didn't change, but Harper's camera dipped slightly. The man with the clipboard still hadn't spoken, glanced at Mira. The patrol car arrived 12 minutes later. I explained the situation to the officer, showed him my deed, and pointed out the property lines. He examined the barriers, looked at Mira. "Ma'am, you can't block access to private property without a court order." "We have the authority under our covenants," Mira said. "That's a civil matter," the officer said. "But right now, these need to be moved." Mira pulled the cones aside, herself, one by one. Precise movements, controlled. She looked at me as she moved the last one. "We'll be addressing this through proper channels. Mr. Morris." I nodded once, didn't respond. The officer waited until I'd pulled my truck through, then left. Mira and Harper walked to a silver sedan parked down the street. Harper's phone stayed up until they drove away. Inside the house, I sat at the kitchen table and spread out the printout they'd given me. Section 4. I pulled the original CC&R documents from my file cabinet, the ones recorded at the county in 1985. Flipped to Section 4. Property maintenance and landscaping standards. Nothing about driveways, nothing about drainage systems. They weren't just wrong. They were creating their own rules. The email arrived at 6:43 the next morning. Subject line in all caps, "Urgent Community Safety Violation," sent to every address on the HOA distribution list. I read it standing in the kitchen, coffee cooling in my hand. Dear neighbors, it has come to the board's attention that unauthorized construction has created dangerous drainage issues affecting multiple properties. A driveway installed without HOA approval at 2215 Oakmont Drive blocks Atrewo's water flow and violates our architectural standards. This construction was completed without proper community review and poses a significant risk during heavy rainfall. The board is taking immediate action to protect property values and resident safety. 3 photos attached. My driveway from different angles. Captions below each one. Illegal construction blocking drainage access. Unapproved modification to common area buffer. Violation of Covenant, Section 4.7. I opened my filing cabinet. Pulled the construction permit issued by the county last April. Signed and stamped. Pulled the survey report completed by a licensed surveyor. Property lines clearly marked. Measurements verified by GPS coordinates. My driveway sat 8 feet inside my boundary. Nowhere near any common area. Pulled the original covenants recorded in 1985. Section 4 covered landscaping. Nothing about driveways. No Section 4.7 existed. I called Torrin Hale. We'd served together. Different units. But we'd crossed paths enough times to stay in touch. He'd gone into surveying after discharge. "I need you to verify some measurements," I said. He came by that afternoon, spent 90 minutes with his equipment, checking benchmarks, recording coordinates, and taking photographs. When he finished, he handed me a folder. "Your driveway is completely within your property boundaries, 8.2 feet from the nearest common area marker. Grade is correct for drainage. Actually improves runoff compared to the original grass. Whoever's claiming it blocks water flow doesn't know what they're talking about." I scanned everything. Permit, survey, original covenants, Torrin's report, composed an email to the community list, reply all, kept it factual. The driveway at 2215 Oakmont Drive was constructed with a valid county permit, approved survey, and complete compliance with property boundaries. Attached are certified documents for your review. The original CC and Rs from 1985 contain no restrictions on private driveways. Section 4.7 does not exist in the recorded covenants. Hit send at 4:30 p.m. Mira's response came within 20 minutes. The board maintains authority over architectural modifications under our amended covenants, approved in 2018. We will address this matter at an emergency community meeting this Friday at 7 p.m. All residents are encouraged to attend. I checked the county recorder's office online database, searched for any amendments filed after 1985. Nothing. Covenants could only be legally amended if recorded with the county. I downloaded the search results, saved them as a PDF, made 3 backup copies. Harper posted in the neighborhood group that evening. I didn't use it often, but I checked occasionally. Her post had already gotten 42 reactions. Our community standards exist for a reason. When one person ignores the rules, everyone's investment suffers. The board is working hard to protect what we've all built here. Some neighbors believe they're above accountability. 3 people commented in support immediately. Langford Pierce wrote, "HOA rules aren't suggestions, they're requirements." Milton Greaves, who'd lived here since the neighborhood was built, commented differently. "I remember when Kaylin's grandfather owned that property. Always kept it proper. Maybe we should see the actual documents before picking sides." One response to Milton from Harper. "The documents are clear. The board has reviewed everything thoroughly." I didn't comment, didn't engage. Screenshots instead, saved with timestamps, added them to a folder I labeled Evidence. Then I started preparing for Friday. The community center conference room held about 40 people on Friday night. Folding chairs were arranged in rows, facing a long table where the HOA board sat. Mira in the center, Marjorie Kellen to her left, Harper on her right. 3 other board members I recognized but didn't know well. Everett Blaine, the attorney who supposedly advised them, sat at the far end. I took a seat in the third row, set my folder on the empty chair beside me, turned on my phone's voice recorder, and placed it in my shirt pocket. Public meeting. Legal to record. I'd checked the state statute that afternoon. Mira opened at 7:03. Thank you all for coming on short notice. We're here to discuss a serious violation that affects our entire community. As you know, unauthorized construction has occurred at 2215 Oakmont Drive. Despite our attempts to resolve this privately, the homeowner has refused to cooperate with the board authority. Harper advanced a slide on the projector screen. My driveway again. Same photos from the email. This construction was completed without Architectural Review Committee approval, Harper said. It violates multiple covenant provisions and creates drainage problems that could affect neighboring properties during storm events. Marjorie Kellen stood. She had a printout in her hand, held it up so people could see. Our covenants are clear. Section 4.7 specifically addresses modifications to drainage corridor procedures. Any homeowner who proceeds without approval faces penalties. She looked directly at me. If voluntary compliance isn't achieved within 30 days, the board will assess a daily fine of $500, as authorized under Clause 7.3 regarding daily penalty for noncompliance. Maximum $500 per day. Cynthia Royston, another board member, spoke next. Property values in this neighborhood have remained strong because we maintain standards. When one owner decides rules don't apply to them, everyone's investment suffers. Langford Pierce stood from the front row. I support the board completely. We can't let one person create chaos just because they feel like it. Two more people nodded. A woman I didn't recognize said, I bought here specifically because of the HOA protections. Mira looked at me. Mr. Morris, would you like to address the board? I stood, picked up my folder, walked to the front. Mira's expression stayed neutral, but Harper's hand moved toward her phone before she stopped herself. I set the folder on the table, opened it, pulled out the first document. This is the building permit issued by the county last April, I said. Signed and stamped by the building department. The driveway was inspected and approved. I held it up. Let people see the official seal. Set it down. Pulled the next document. This is the survey report completed by a licensed surveyor. It confirms the driveway is 8.2 feet inside my property boundary, nowhere near any common area. I pulled out the original covenants. These are the CC and Rs recorded with the county in 1985. Section 4 addresses landscaping standards. There is no Section 4.7. I turned to the page, showed it to the room. There are only 5 subsections in Section 4. No mention of driveways or drainage corridors. Everett Blaine cleared his throat. The amended covenants from 2018 address these issues. Where are those amendments recorded? I asked. They were approved at the annual meeting in 2018, Everett said. But where are they recorded with the county? I repeated. Covenant amendments only become legally binding when filed with the county recorder's office. I checked yesterday. Nothing has been filed since 1985. Yet I pulled out the county search results. This is from the recorder's database. No amendments exist in the public record. The conversation started in the rows behind me. People whispering. Mira held up her hand. The board followed proper procedure. The amendments were voted on and approved by the membership. Then why weren't they recorded? I asked. Everett looked at Mira. She looked at Marjorie. No one answered immediately. Milton Greaves stood in the back. I've been here since this neighborhood was built. I don't remember voting on any amendments in 2018. I definitely don't remember anything about Section 4.7. The vote was properly noticed, Harper said quickly. Then show us the notice, Milton said. Show us the meeting minutes. Show us the signed ballots. Mira's jaw tightened. This meeting isn't about procedural questions. It's about compliance with community standards. It's about whether those standards actually exist, I said. The room got louder. Multiple conversations are happening at once. Mira stood, spoke over the noise. The board will review the documentation and respond in writing. This meeting is adjourned. People didn't leave immediately. Several came up to me. Milton first. You're right to push back. They've gotten too comfortable making up rules. Hendry Lowell, someone I'd seen around but never spoken to, asked if he could get copies of the documents. I told him I'd email them. Harper and Mira left through the side door. Didn't speak to anyone. Everett gathered papers quickly. Followed them out. I drove home. Parked in my driveway. The concrete looked the same as always. Solid. Level. Exactly where it belonged. Inside, I uploaded the meeting recording to cloud storage. Made 2 more backup copies. Then I started drafting a formal letter. I met with Nolan Vexley on Saturday morning at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the county courthouse. He'd been a county judge for 23 years before retiring. Now he volunteered legal advice for residents who couldn't afford attorneys. Milton Greaves had given me his number on Friday night. Nolan read through my documents while his coffee went cold. Permit, survey, covenants, county search results, the meeting recording. When he finished, he looked up. You're completely in the right. They're making claims based on rules that don't exist. That amended covenant they mentioned, if it was never recorded, it has no legal force. What's my next step? I asked. Formal notice, he said. Cease and desist letter. Make it clear you know they're operating outside their authority. Include copies of everything you have. Give them a deadline to retract their claims and stop all enforcement actions. Send it certified mail so they can't claim they never received it. I spent Saturday afternoon drafting the letter. Kept the language precise, factual. No accusations, just statements of fact and legal requirements. This letter serves as formal notice that the HOA's claims regarding the property at 2215 Oakmont Drive are factually and legally incorrect. The driveway was constructed with valid county permits, within surveyed property boundaries, in full compliance with the recorded CC and Rs from 1985. The alleged violations cite covenant provisions that do not exist in any legally recorded document. I listed each requirement. Retract the false statements made in community communications. Provide a written apology for the defamatory claims. Cease all harassment and enforcement actions. Remove any penalties or fines from HOA records. 10-day deadline for full compliance. I attached copies of the permit, survey report, original covenants, and county recorder search results. Reference the relevant state statutes on property rights and HOA authority limitations. Printed 3 copies. Took them to the post office on Monday morning. Sent 1 certified mail to the HOA's registered address. Sent individual copies to each board member's home address by regular mail with tracking. The receipt said delivery would occur on Wednesday. Thursday morning. No response. Instead, a white pickup truck was parked across the street from my house. A man got out carrying a surveyor's tripod and equipment case. He set up on the sidewalk, started taking measurements toward my property line. I walked over. Can I help you? He looked up from his equipment. Dorian Haskett. The HOA hired me to verify property boundaries. You have a state surveying license. I've been doing this work for 15 years, he said. That's not what I asked. He went back to his measurements. I pulled out my phone, opened the state licensing board website, searched for Dorian Haskett. No results. Searched variations of the name. Nothing. I can't find your license in the state database, I said. I work under supervision, he said. Don't need my own license. Who's your supervising surveyor? He didn't answer. Kept working. I took photographs of his truck, his equipment, and his face. Made sure the license plate was visible. Sent them to Torin with a text. Can you check if this guy is legit? Torin called back 20 minutes later. No licensed surveyor named Dorian Haskett in the state. And the supervision excuse doesn't work for boundary surveys. Those require a licensed professional's direct involvement and signature. If he's doing this solo, he's breaking the law. I went back outside. Haskett was packing up his equipment. You need to know that performing land surveys without proper licensing is a violation of state statute, I said. Whatever report you produce won't be legally valid. He loaded his truck without responding. Drove away. 3 days later, an envelope arrived from the HOA, not certified, just regular mail. Inside was a letter from Marjorie Kellen on HOA letterhead. Dear Mr. Morris, the board has reviewed your recent correspondence. Your driveway remains in violation of community standards. Attached is an updated survey report confirming encroachment on common area property. You have 30 days to begin removal, or daily penalties will commence as previously stated. The attached report had Haskett's name on it. Claimed my driveway extended 2 feet into the HOA common area. No professional seal, no license number, no notarization. The benchmark coordinates didn't match any of the established points on Torrin's report. The measurements used a different datum entirely. The date stamp was handwritten, not printed. I photographed every page. Sent copies to Torrin. He called within an hour. This is garbage. Wrong benchmarks, inconsistent measurements, and no GPS coordinates. And look at this. He claims to have done fieldwork on dates when weather records show heavy rain. No surveyor works in those conditions. This is fabricated. I drafted a complaint to the State Board of Professional Engineers and Land Surveyors. Attached the fraudulent report. Photographs of Haskett working without supervision, and documentation from the licensing database showing no valid credentials. Included Torrin's analysis of the technical errors. Submitted it online that evening. Then I waited for the HOA's next move. It came faster than I expected. The first security vehicle appeared on Tuesday morning. A white SUV with Sentinel Protection Services printed on the door panel. It drove past my house twice between 7 and 8 a.m., slow enough that I could see the driver taking notes. By Thursday, it had become routine. The same vehicle, different times. Sometimes parked across the street for 20 minutes. Sometimes just a slow pass. Friday afternoon, I found a violation notice taped to my front door. Orange paper, printed text. Notice of violation. Unauthorized vehicle parking in the common area buffer zone. Fine assessed $200. Payment due within 15 days. My truck had been parked in my own driveway. Nowhere near any common area. The signature at the bottom said Markel Doss, security supervisor. The date was 2 days earlier. I'd been home that entire day. No one had knocked. No one had spoken to me. Just the notice appearing after the fact. I checked the signature against the HOA documents I'd collected. Pulled up the board meeting minutes from their website archive. Markel Doss had never appeared in any official capacity. Not a board member, not a property manager, not listed anywhere in their organizational structure. Just a name on a violation notice. Saturday morning brought a second notice. Violation exterior maintenance deficiency. Mailbox post requires repainting per architectural standards, section 6.2. Fine assessed $150. My mailbox was identical to every other mailbox on the street. Same black metal post, same condition. I walked the neighborhood that afternoon. Counted 8 mailboxes in visibly worse condition than mine. None had violation notices. The security vehicle came by while I was outside. Stopped at the corner. A different person is in the passenger seat this time. He raised a camera with a long lens. Took photographs of my house. I raised my phone. Photographed him. He lowered the camera immediately. The vehicle drove away. Sunday evening. Another notice. Violation lawn care non-compliance. Grass height exceeds the maximum standard of 3 inches. I'd mowed 3 days earlier. The grass was barely 2 inches. I measured it with a tape measure to be certain. 2.1 inches at the highest point. All 3 notices had different signatures. Markel Doss, Tyron Voigt, a third name, Jace Hollow. None of them matched any signature in the official HOA records. I laid the notices side by side on my kitchen table. The handwriting varied, but the format was identical. Computer-printed forms with handwritten details filled in. The signature styles were completely different from each other, but the Mira Cadell signature at the bottom of the first notice looked nothing like her signature on the official board documents from last year's annual report. I created a spreadsheet. Column 1, date and time. Column 2, type of incident. Column 3, individuals involved. Column 4, evidence collected. Column 5, applicable laws violated by HOA. Added entries for every security patrol, every violation notice, and every documented contact. Linked to cloud storage folders containing photographs, video clips, and scanned documents. Tuesday morning, I installed security cameras, 4 units covering all approaches to the house, motion activated, cloud backup, timestamp on every recording. It took 3 hours to position them correctly and verify the coverage zones. By early afternoon, the system was live. The cameras caught Tyron Voigt that same evening. He walked up my driveway at 6:47 p.m., looked around, then stepped onto my lawn, walked along the side of the house toward the backyard. I opened the front door. "Can I help you?" He stopped, turned. "Security patrol, checking for code violations." "This is private property," I said. "You need permission to be here." "HOA gave me authorization. The HOA doesn't own this property. I'm asking you to leave." He pulled out his phone, started recording. "Hostile interaction with security personnel. Refusing to cooperate with community safety protocols." I kept my hands visible, voice level. "You're trespassing. Leave now, or I'm calling the police." He held the phone up for another 10 seconds, then walked back to the street, got into the security vehicle parked 3 houses down. Didn't leave, just sat there, watching. I went inside, downloaded the security footage. The timestamp showed him on my property for 4 minutes before I'd opened the door, showed him trying the gate latch on my fence, showed him looking through the garage window. I saved 3 copies to separate cloud accounts. Wednesday brought a certified letter from Marjorie Kellen. Notice of accumulated violations and pending lien. Total fines assessed $2,300. Payment required within 15 days to avoid placement of lien on property title. The itemized list included the 3 violations I'd received notices for, plus 5 more I'd never heard about. Unapproved exterior paint color, $500. Roof maintenance deficiency, $400. Landscaping noncompliance, $350. My house was the same color it had been for 12 years. The roof had been inspected and certified last spring. The landscaping hadn't changed. I photographed the letter, added it to my evidence folder. Then I called Lucan Barrett at the county recorder's office. "I need certified copies of all recorded documents related to my property. Deed, covenants, any liens or encumbrances, everything in the official record." "That'll take a few days to process," he said. "That's fine. I want it all." Thursday afternoon, a white contractor van parked in front of my house. A man got out carrying a clipboard and a digital camera. He walked toward my property. I met him at the driveway. "Can I help you?" "Jace Hollow. I'm here to inspect the drainage system. HOA work order." "You have authorization to enter private property." "HOA authorized it." "They don't have that authority," I said. "You need my permission or a warrant." He held up the clipboard. "It's right here. Official work order." "That's not a legal authorization. This is private property. You're not entering without my consent." He pulled out his phone, called someone, talked quietly for a minute. Then Mira's voice came through, loud enough for me to hear. "Put him on." Jace held the phone toward me. I didn't take it. "Ms. Cadell, your contractor doesn't have permission to enter my property. If he doesn't leave, I'm reporting him for trespassing." "This is HOA business," Mira's voice said. "We have the right to inspect common infrastructure. There's no common infrastructure on my land, and your rights end at my property line." Silence for a moment. Then, "Jace, come back. We'll handle this another way." He left without another word. I added the incident to my spreadsheet, checked my email. A message had arrived from Harper Dalka, sent to the entire community list. "Our security team has documented multiple violations at 2215 Oakmont Drive. Legal action is being prepared to protect community standards. We appreciate everyone's patience as we work through this unfortunate situation." I didn't reply, just saved the email, added the timestamp to my records. Then I started planning the next phase. Because I'd found something in their own communications. An email Harper had accidentally copied me on, meant only for Marjorie. 3 words that changed everything. Vex finished editing. I opened the email thread again, read it 3 times to make sure I understood what I was seeing. Harper had sent it to Marjorie at 9:22 p.m. the previous Thursday. Subject line said, "Portal update completed." The message itself was short. Vex finished editing the plat map. New version uploaded to the portal. Should match what we need for the hearing. I'd been copied by mistake. Harper's autofill must have pulled my address along with Marjorie's. She'd probably realized it within minutes, but by then the email was already delivered. No way to unsend it. I logged into the HOA member portal using the credentials they'd sent when I inherited the property. Navigated to the Documents section. Found the plat map file dated 3 days ago. Downloaded it immediately. Opened the PDF properties to check the metadata. Created date showed June 15th, 2018. The modified date showed last week. The author field listed someone named Vex Dalton. Software used was Adobe Acrobat Pro. I took screenshots of everything. The file properties window, the modification timestamp, the author's name. Saved them with my phone's screen recording feature, showing the full process of accessing the portal and viewing the file details. Uploaded everything to 3 separate cloud storage accounts. Then I drove to the county recorder's office. Lucan Barrett was at the front desk when I arrived. "I need a certified copy of the recorded plat map for Oakmont Estates subdivision," I said. "The original from when it was filed." He checked his computer. "That would be from 1983. Give me about 20 minutes. I waited in the lobby. Watched other people come and go. Filing documents. Requesting records. The everyday machinery of property law is working exactly as it should. Lucan came back with a folder. "Here's your certified copy. County seal on every page. This is the official recorded version. Nothing's been amended or modified since the original filing." I opened it right there. Compared it to the version I'd downloaded from the HOA portal on my phone. The differences jumped out immediately. The HOA version showed my property line shifted 3 feet west, showed a drainage easement running directly through where my driveway now sat. The county version showed my property line in its original position, showed the drainage easement 20 feet south of my driveway, nowhere near my actual construction. "Can you provide a notarized statement confirming this is the only recorded version?" I asked. Lucan nodded. "I can certify that this document represents the official recorded plat map, and that no amendments or modifications have been filed with this office since the original recording date of April 7th, 1983. He typed it up, printed it on county letterhead, signed and stamped it with his notary seal. I paid the fees, took the documents, drove home and laid everything out on my kitchen table. Created a comparison document. The left column showed the county certified version. The right column showed the HOA portal version. Used red highlights to mark every difference. Printed it on a poster board for visual clarity. That evening, I called Cassian Traylor. He was a litigation attorney who'd commented on one of Milton's posts about my situation. Said if I needed help, he'd take a look for free. I sent him everything I had. County records, HOA portal version, metadata screenshots, the email from Harper about Vex finishing the editing. He called back within 2 hours. "This is document fraud. They altered an official recorded plat map and are using it to justify enforcement actions against you. That's a serious crime. You can file a civil suit, and you should report this to the county attorney for potential criminal prosecution. I want to present this publicly first," I said. "Let the community see what's been happening. Let the board explain it themselves." "City council meeting," he said. "They have public comment periods. You can request time on the agenda. Present your evidence there. Everything's recorded. It's an official proceeding. If there's criminal activity, the council can refer it to law enforcement immediately." I looked up the city council schedule online. The next meeting was 3 weeks away. I filled out the online form requesting 15 minutes during public comment. Listed my topic as HOA governance concerns requiring city oversight. Submitted it at 10:30 that night. Friday morning, I met with Torin again. Showed him both versions of the plat map. Asked him to prepare a new survey report with the most detailed analysis possible. He spent 6 hours on my property with GPS equipment, taking measurements accurate to within centimeters. Cross-referenced everything with the county benchmarks. His report came back at 42 pages. Executive summary on page 1. The driveway at 2215 Oakmont Drive is located entirely within the surveyed property boundaries. Distance from nearest common area 8.4 feet. No encroachment on any drainage easement. No conflict with any recorded plat map or legal property description. I had him notarize every page. Paid for the full professional analysis. Added it to my evidence folder. Milton stopped by Saturday afternoon. Bought copies of old neighborhood newsletters from the 1990s. I've been going through my files, he said, looking for any mention of covenant amendments. Never found anything about changes in 2018. Actually, I found the opposite. He showed me a newsletter from May 20th, 2018. The HOA president back then had written about how the original covenants were still serving the neighborhood well, and no changes were needed. Can I make copies of these? I asked. Keep them, Milton said. I've got duplicates. You're doing what should have been done years ago. Somebody needs to push back when they overstep. Sunday evening. I got an email from Clara Ebsen, the city council secretary. Your public comment request has been approved for the November meeting. You'll have 15 minutes starting at 7:30 p.m. Please arrive by 7:15 to sign in, I replied, thanking her. Then I started preparing my presentation. Kept it simple. Timeline of events, legal documents proving my position, comparison of the two plat maps, metadata showing the alteration. I practiced twice, timed it, 13 minutes. Left 2 minutes for questions if needed. Tuesday morning. Marjorie sent another certified letter. Final notice before lien placement. Total outstanding fines, $4,800. Payment required by November 15th or lien will be recorded with the county. I photographed it. Added it to the evidence folder. Let them keep building their case. Every action they took created more documentation, more proof of the pattern. The hearing was 2 weeks away. I could wait. The city council chamber was already half full when I arrived at 7:10 p.m. Clara Ebsen checked my name off the speaker list and handed me a number card. You're third on the agenda for public comment, she said. Wait for Chairman Ames to call your number. I took a seat in the 4th row, set my folder on the chair beside me. Cassian Traylor sat 3 rows back, gave me a small nod. Milton was there. Hendry Lowell, too. A few other neighbors I recognized. Across the aisle, Mira sat with Harper, Marjorie, and Everett Blaine. They'd come prepared. Mira had a leather portfolio. Everett had his briefcase open on his lap, reviewing papers. The first 2 speakers went quickly. A complaint about streetlight timing. A question about park maintenance schedules. Then Winford Ames, the council chairman, called my number. Mr. Kalen Morris, you have 15 minutes. I walked to the podium, connected my laptop to the projection system. The screen behind the council table lit up. My first slide appeared. Simple timeline. Date I received the permit. Date I completed construction. Date HOA first blocked my driveway. My name is Kalen Morris. I'm here to present evidence of fraudulent documents being used by our HOA to justify illegal enforcement actions. I advanced to the next slide. My building permit. Zoomed in so the county seal was clearly visible. I obtained proper permits for my driveway last April. The construction was inspected and approved by the county building department. Next slide. Torin's survey report. A licensed surveyor confirmed the driveway sits entirely within my property boundaries, 8.4 feet from the nearest common area. The next slide showed the original covenants. These are the CC&Rs recorded in 1983. Section 4 addresses landscaping. There is no Section 4.7. There are no restrictions on private driveways. I let that sit for a moment. Advance to the next slide. The comparison table. Left side county certified plat map. Right side HOA portal version, red highlights mark every difference. This is the official plat map from the county recorder's office. This is the version on the HOA member portal. They are not the same document. I pointed to the shifted property line. The HOA version moves my boundary 3 feet. It adds a drainage easement that doesn't exist in the recorded plat. These changes make it appear my driveway violates restrictions that aren't real. Winford leaned forward. How do you know the HOA version was altered? I advanced to the metadata slide. Screenshot of the file properties. The HOA file claims to be from 2018, but the modification data shows it was edited last month. The author field lists Vex Dalton. I checked with the county. No amendments have been filed since the original 1983 recording. I displayed Lucan's notarized statement on the next slide. This certification from the county recorder confirms the official version has never been modified. I showed the email next. Harper's message to Marjorie. I received this by accident. It references someone named Vex finishing edits on the plat map. Redacted the personal email addresses. Kept only the content. This was sent 3 days before the altered version appeared on the HOA portal. The room was completely silent. I continued. The HOA also hired someone named Dorian Haskett to produce a survey report. I checked the state licensing board. He has no surveyor's license. His report contains multiple technical errors and false measurements. Displayed the state licensing board search results. I filed a formal complaint with the State Board of Professional Engineers. They're investigating. Winford looked at Mira. Ms. Cadell, would you like to respond? Mira stood. Walked to the podium as I stepped aside. She didn't look at me. The board has acted in good faith to protect community interests. Our surveyor provided professional analysis based on the information available to us. Your surveyor isn't licensed, I said. He works under supervision, Mira said quickly. Boundary surveys require direct involvement from a licensed professional, I said. That's state law. Winford held up his hand. Let's stay focused, Ms. Cadell. Can you explain the discrepancy between the county plat map and the version on your portal? Mira glanced at Everett. He stood, approached the podium. The document on our portal was updated based on information from our surveyor. We believed it reflected current conditions. But it contradicts the official recorded plat, Winford said. The county has no record of any amendments. How did you determine you had authority to alter a legal property document? Everett's jaw tightened. The board reviews and updates community documents as needed for administrative purposes. Administrative purposes don't include changing legal property boundaries, Cassian said from his seat. Winford looked at him. Mr. Traylor, you'll have a chance to speak if you've signed up. I'm here as an observer, Cassian said. But if the council wants legal context, I'm available. Marjorie stood suddenly. This is being blown out of proportion. We were trying to address a legitimate concern about drainage and property values. By fabricating a plat map, Milton called from the back. Winford raised his voice. Order. Please. Everyone will get a chance to speak. He looked at Mira. Do you have documentation showing authorization to modify the plat map? Mira's face flushed. We maintain community records. We have the right to manage our own documents. Not when those documents contradict official county records, Winford said. Not when they're being used to justify fines and liens against a property owner. He turned to the other council members, spoke quietly with them for a moment, turned back. The council is going to request the county attorney review this matter. There appear to be serious discrepancies that need investigation. Mira's voice rose. We have the authority to manage our community however we see fit. That's what HOAs exist for. Not when it violates state law, Winford said. Not when it involves document fraud. This is harassment, Mira said. Her hands gripped the podium edge. He's been uncooperative from the beginning, refused to work with us, refused to respect community standards. The standards you're citing don't exist, I said quietly. She turned toward me. You think you can just ignore the board, ignore the rules everyone else follows. You're disrupting everything we've built here. Winford spoke firmly. Ms. Cadell, Please step back. The council will handle this from here." She didn't move. Harper stood, touched her arm, whispered something. Mira finally stepped away from the podium, walked back to her seat. Everett followed. He was already putting papers back in his briefcase. Winford addressed the room. "The City Council will formally request that the county attorney investigate the allegations presented here. In the meantime, the HOA is directed to cease all enforcement actions against Mr. Morris until this matter is resolved. Any liens or penalties already assessed should be suspended." He looked directly at Mira. "If the HOA does not comply, the city can take action to revoke your organizational status." The meeting continued with other business. I gathered my materials, disconnected my laptop. People approached as I walked toward the exit. Hendry shook my hand. "You handled that perfectly. Didn't lose your cool once." Perrin Wade, someone who'd supported the HOA at the emergency meeting, stopped me. "I owe you an apology. I should have asked questions before taking sides." Outside, Cassian caught up with me. "That went exactly how it needed to. You presented facts, stayed calm, and let them dig their own hole. Mira's outburst at the end probably did more damage to their position than anything else could have." I drove home, parked in my driveway. The concrete looked the same as always. I sat in the truck for a moment before going inside, not celebrating, not relieved yet, just aware that the truth was now part of the public record. Whatever came next would come through proper channels, the way it should. 6 weeks passed. The county attorney's office moved methodically. Interviews, document review, cross-referencing records. I received updates every week or so. Cassian handled most of the communication. He'd taken the case officially after the council meeting, still pro bono. Said it was worth it to see the system work correctly. The findings came in a 14-page report delivered to City Council on a Thursday afternoon. Clara Ebsen emailed me a copy an hour later. I read it standing in my kitchen, the same place I'd read Mira's first threatening email months ago. The report confirmed everything. The plat map on the HOA portal had been digitally altered by Vex Dalton, a freelance IT contractor hired by the board. Metadata analysis matched my findings exactly. The county had no record of amendments to the original 1983 plat. Dorian Haskett had performed land surveying without a valid state license. His report contained fabricated measurements and false boundary determinations. The state board had already fined him $5,000 and issued a permanent ban on surveying work in the state. Mira Cadell, Marjorie Kellen, and Harper Dalka were named specifically. The report found they had knowingly used falsified documents to justify enforcement actions. Recommended that they be removed from the HOA board immediately. Recommended that the HOA pay restitution to me for all assessed fines, plus legal costs and compensation for time and distress. $10,000 total. Vex Dalton faced criminal charges. Document forgery, a felony. The county attorney was proceeding with the prosecution. Potential sentence of 1 to 3 years, depending on plea negotiations. The state bar opened an investigation into Everett Blaine. His legal advice to the board had been inadequate at best, potentially complicit at worst. Suspension pending review. City Council met the following Tuesday. Winford read the findings aloud, made it official. The HOA had 30 days to comply with all recommendations or face dissolution of its corporate status. Mira, Marjorie, and Harper submitted resignation letters that same evening. Didn't attend the meeting. Didn't make statements. The new board, elected in an emergency meeting I didn't attend, sent its first official communication on Friday. A letter to every homeowner. I read mine that evening. To the community. The former HOA board made serious errors in judgment regarding the matter of Mr. Kalen Morris and his property. We have conducted a full review and confirmed that Mr. Morris acted within his legal rights at all times. The allegations made against him were unfounded and caused undue harm to his reputation. We sincerely apologize to Mr. Morris and to the community for this situation. We are committed to ensuring greater transparency and adherence to legal standards moving forward. The new board. A check arrived the next week, $10,000. The memo line said restitution and legal costs. I deposited it, transferred most of it immediately to cover Torrin's surveying work and the fees I'd paid for certified documents. Kept enough to replace the security cameras with better models. Donated the rest to Nolan Vexley's legal aid fund. Hendry stopped by one afternoon with a pie his wife had baked. I should have listened earlier, he said. Should have asked to see the actual documents before assuming they were right. You listened eventually, I said. That's what mattered. Perrin came by a few days later. Bought coffee. We sat on the front porch. He didn't apologize again. He had already done that. Just wanted to talk. Said he'd been thinking about how easy it is to let other people do your thinking for you when they sound official enough. Milton helped me plant trees along the driveway one Saturday morning. Oak saplings. Same species as the old ones that had been here since before the neighborhood existed. Not making a statement. Just continuing what had always been here. He worked quietly. Seemed to enjoy the physical labor. When we finished, he stood back, looked at the row of small trees. This is what community actually looks like, he said. People helping each other do things right. I drove past the community center one evening. There was a meeting happening. Cars in the parking lot. The lights are on inside. The new board is doing its work. I didn't stop. Didn't need to. My part in HOA governance was over. I'd shown up when I had to. Presented what needed presenting. That was enough. The security cameras stayed up, but I checked them less frequently. Weeks went by without incident. No violation notices. No security patrols. No certified letters. The neighborhood felt different. Quieter. Or maybe I just noticed the quiet more now. I stood at the edge of my driveway one evening in late December. The concrete had weathered slightly over the months. Small cracks are forming at the edges where temperature changes work on the material. Normal aging. The oak saplings had dropped their leaves for winter. The old oaks still stood the same as always. Light came through at a different angle now, lower in the sky, but still casting those familiar jagged shadows. No barriers, no cameras watching. No one questioned whether I belonged here. Just home, the way it was always supposed to be. Sometimes the system works when you work the system correctly. Not with anger, not with shortcuts, just with evidence, patience, and knowing your rights. If this story reminded you why documentation matters, or why staying calm under pressure wins in the end, consider subscribing to Gated Drama for more true accounts of people who refuse to back down when they were right. Drop a comment about a time you had to stand your ground. Your story might help someone else find their courage.